This will be the Bismarck-Mandan Metropolitan Planning Organization meeting. It's October 21st, 2025. We're in the Ed Bosch Fralick Meeting Room in the Mandan City Hall. Before we call the meeting order, we'll have Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we can call meeting to order by calling roll, please.
Mayor Berglund.
Here.
Commissioner Zachmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Fralick.
Here.
Commissioner Bakken.
Here.
And Chair Schmitz.
Here. Our first item is public comment. The public comment is restricted to items on the current agenda or the prior month's agenda, excluding any public hearing items. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak? I don't see anyone. There's no one in the audience. I don't hear anyone online, so I'll close the public comment period. Item 4 is review and possible approval of the minutes from the September 16th meeting. Members, what are your wishes?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Mayor Berglund.
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Fralick.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
And Chair Schmitz.
Yes. Item 5 is the 2026 to 2029 Final Transportation Improvement Program. Stephen?
Thank you, Chair. Give me just one moment. Okay, so last month, Policy Board approved our draft 2026 through 2029 Transportation Improvement Program. So the TIP has since been updated to its final temporarily excellent form. The program of projects and project maps were updated to reflect changes requested by TAC, the NDDOT, Federal Highway Administration, and Federal Transit. All the changes required to the document as a result of public or oversight comments were of a minor nature. These comments and changes are now reflected in the appendix of the final document. So, as a reminder that future changes and additions to the document in the coming months will be addressed based on the TIP revisions process laid out on pages 6 and 7 of the document. So, as always, we have to manage changes to projects that come through from DOT, and we have a process in place for that. TAC recommended approval of this final document as it was presented yesterday. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Stephen? Members, what are your wishes with regard to the adoption?
I make a motion to adopt.
I'd second.
And do we have any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Mayor Berglund.
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer.
Yes.
Mayor Fralick.
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken.
Yes.
And Chair Schmitz.
Yes. Next, item 6 is the 2026 PM1 Highway Safety Improvement Program. Targets, Tracy.
The North Dakota Department of Transportation recently adopted their annual Highway Safety Improvement Program, HSIP, performance targets for 2026. The federal government requires every state's DOT to monitor the rate of injuries and fatalities on the road system and to use this monitoring to assist in setting safety targets in the effort to increase roadway safety. MPOs are either allowed to set their own performance measures or PM1 targets, or to support their state's targets. The Bismarck-Mandan MPO has historically supported NDDOT's safety targets. The MPO staff recommends the adoption of the NDDOT's 2026 HSIP performance targets by resolution of adoption. TAC did recommend this at yesterday's meeting, and does the board have any questions for me?
Any questions for Tracy? Members, what are your wishes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Mayor Berglund,
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
and Chair Schmitz.
Yes. Item 7A, and I will have 7B follow this, which is an addendum that was sent out to everybody, and we'll cover that next after this. But 7A is the 2026 Transportation Development Plan. Paulette? This is a request for an RFP, I guess, would be the
Yes.
best way to say
Thank
that.
you, Chair Schmitz. Hello? There we go. Got to get closer here. And Exhibit C in your packet, you'll see the request for proposals, or RFP, for the Transit Development Plan, or TDP. The purpose of this study is to provide the Bismarck-Mandan MPO and Bismarck Transit with a quality and usable guide to improve operations in a financially constrained manner. The TDP's overall goal is to enhance public transportation and maximize Bisman Transit's efficiency, accessibility, and longevity. As a practice, it is typically updated every 3 to 5 years. The last TDP occurred in 2022-2023 by the MPO, and in conjunction with Bisman Transit, the cities of Bismarck, Lincoln, and Mandan. This TDP will mainly focus on Bisman Transit's types of service it provides to the community and identify opportunities for improvement. Within the RFP, we'll have an estimated schedule for proposals, interviews, the update itself, as well as the objective and scope of work. We have the public involvement plan, which will involve at least 2 meetings with the public in both Bismarck and Mandan. The plan has a not-to-exceed budget of $180,000, which is in the 2026 Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP, of approximately $99,000. The remainder of the budget is $81,000, which will be expended in 2027. There is an estimated proposal deadline of November 17th, 2025, and we hope to start work on this plan in January 2026, with a plan to conclude in May of 2027. And we do have some changes since the packet had gone out, which I will note, and we'll scroll on those pages as we go along here. The first one and page 1, we deleted reference to Bisman Transit asking for the proposal. Just left it with the Bismarck-Mandan MPO. The second changes refer to anything regarding DBE due to the interim rulemaking changes that just recently occurred. The third change is found on page 11. I will be putting in an updated map to better reflect the corporate city limits. Page 12, under the area of scope of work, right there, yeah, towards the 7th bullet down, right, under the steering committee under the scope of work. Excuse me. Thank you, Stephen. We're going to better identify the steering committees developed for the study. This includes officials from Bismarck, Mandan, and Lincoln, which are jurisdictional staff, but in the city of Lincoln, it'll consist of a city official. Also on page 12, at the TAC meeting yesterday, suggestion was made to remove at the bottom of the page special requests by Bisman Transit. Page 13, at the very top, number 3, we're going to add a letter G, and that will read, identify how transit service could provide expanded transportation options and enhance connectivity as a complement to restored passenger rail. And then on the top there also, number 3, letter B, we also changed the word recommend to evaluate. So say evaluate alternative types of transit services. And the last one in the bottom portion of page 13, under the policy guidance and federal requirements, we added a number 3 to that. That will read, address capital and operational needs to inform fiscally constrained and long-term phases in the next Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP. And TAC did recommend approval with the noted changes. Are there any questions?
So my question is probably more time sensitive than it's like, given both communities have funds coming into them to help improve public transportation now, and I don't see how we can sit on action until 2027, so I'm a little concerned how valuable this study is going to be if we have to take action beginning next year, which I anticipate is going to be some of the expectations, at least in Bismarck, when it comes to routes and potentially even facilities when it comes to being able to provide shelters. So I got to be honest, I think the time frame for delivery is questionable as to how helpful it's going to be. And I'm looking at somebody who's also in the back of the room who's shaking his head yes with me on this one. So I think that's also where he feels, and he was a big part of what occurred in Bismarck for sure with our task force. So that's feedback. I'm concerned. I'm just telling you, I think we need a faster delivery than November or May or 2027 for that matter. I don't know how Mandan feels.
Yes.
We're the two jurisdictions that are collecting revenue at the moment, but the counties also are impacted by this because it does have an impact for sure on the Burley County side to Lincoln, and potentially some external edges.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
If I may, Chair Schmitz, mayors, commissioners, Chair Schmitz, you bring up an extremely valid point. We are in a position right now that could enable transit to become quite sustainable. This is something that we haven't experienced recently in the recent past. We've been looking at sustainability issues for several years, and the last couple of transit development plans have had a very strong emphasis on the financial component and structure of transit. This transit development plan probably really wasn't due until 2027 to even initiate, based on the typical and historical update timeframes that we usually use. But we thought because the funding was available within the MPO's UPWP, within our budget, and because of the advent of the sales tax initiative and what could result from that initiative, that the timing was quite ripe to take a good hard look at the service and operations of transit, which, as I said, really wasn't the focus of the last TDP for sure. That was just recently completed. So this is not a duplicate of the recent TDP effort, nor can we really do anything about the timeline as far as expediency. This is as quickly as we can possibly get this off the ground, given the time frame for the RFP, the requirements for waiting for proposals. We have to give due notice for response, the QBS, this whole selection process of the consultant. The very earliest we're going to be able to get this off the ground is in January. However, to your point, and I don't want to belabor this, but yes, you bring up a good point in that there's going to be route recommendations. We've already heard things in regard to potential hours of service extension, maybe holidays, evening hours, things of that nature. None of that has been set in stone, and transit certainly can react to that outside of the transit development plan. This takes just a bigger picture look at their service operations. Of course, there's going to be ongoing discussions between the cities of Mandan, the city of Bismarck, and Bismarck Transit in regard to that sales tax initiative and the disbursements of funds. In fact, questions have come up from Bismarck Transit already in, access to those funds. And so I would not expect that the transit development plan would replace those discussions at all.
So my concern becomes the following. We're potentially spending $180,000. And by the time the study is completed, it's going to potentially be outdated. Because I anticipate, like the City of Bismarck City Commission has already put a request essentially forward to Bismarck Transit to develop a plan to start addressing number of routes, time of operation, and all those particular items. And by the way, the money is not just for just for Bismarck Transit. It could potentially be used for other transportation solutions. So that's my concern, is we're going to commit, spend money, and if we don't have a delivered report until 2027, there's already, I can't guarantee it, but I would pretty much assume there will be changes to what Bismarck Transit is doing and maybe other options. So I'm struggling with, why are we spending the money if we're not going to get it with we're not going to get a deliverable that's going to have a benefit to what we're trying to accomplish. Could that money be spent on another study that is better suited? That's really where I'm going, and I don't know if I'm making sense or not to anybody else here, but like, it's a big number.
It is.
And it's going to be 18 months out, and we're going to probably have something in place for some of those actions by the end of 2026. I'd be surprised if we don't. I mean, the commission could change in Bismarck and change the whole thing, but we aren't going to collect money and not do anything with it, because that also is, in my view, a violation of the trust the public gave to us.
Kim, is there a better timing aspect to this? So given what Bismarck and Mandan are working on, would there be an advantage to delay this study 18 months, a year, and then come back and look at what that investment of that study looks like in conjunction with as the program and plans moving forward?
Thank you, Commissioner Bach and Chair Schmitz, mayors and commissioners. I'm glad that you brought that up. The only option that we would have is to actually delay the transit development plan update.
So it's not a cancellation of the update, it's just
pushing it down the road
until things line up a little bit better.
Sure. I kind of wish that Deidre Hughes, the executive director of Bismarck Transit, were here to speak today. She could speak to Mayor Schmidt's concerns regarding the extended service hours. She's already been looking at driver pay issues, and she wants to get all of that itemized and resolved before moving into the costs and implications surrounding the extended service hours. So yes, that's ongoing work. Her feeling is that right now is the time to pursue the transit development plan update, simply because the update can occur in tandem with the changes that are taking place, and then can best direct future direction as far as service development plans, keeping in mind that the TDP is more of a long-range planning mechanism for transit.
I've expressed my concerns. I mean, it's
Well, and I think you still have to have a foundation to base a springboard for that plan.
that's my concern. I don't know if we're there.
I don't know if you are either. So we have a piece of this too because of UTTC and UMary.
Yep.
So I would make I don't want to tie a timeline to it because I know where you guys are working, but I would make a motion to delay this study at least until next year, so say 3 months, and that would give the cities and other political subdivisions an opportunity to better identify where that study should go. So that would be my motion.
Am I hearing a second? I'm going to make a second because I think it deserves the discussion, and I want it. So, Commissioner, thank you, because It's probably not the study isn't needed. It literally is, I'd like to see what comes of the requests that have been made for sure from the city of Bismarck to Bismarck Transit. I can't speak to city of Mandan for sure, but we have specifically, and Commissioner Conley, I think if I'm misspeaking, please acknowledge for me if you don't mind. I think we've given direction as to what we want to see come from Bismarck Transit, and I'd like to see some of that stuff implemented before we move forward. Am I off base, Commissioner? Can you no, please. And I'm calling on you, and that's okay. That's because you were intimate in this.
And thank you, mayors and commissioners, and that's why I attended today. I had the day off, and the transit board meeting was moved from Thursday to Tuesday because of a family matter in regards to Deidre. So, but yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. There was a lot of flexibility, and reasons for the initiated measure to kind of backstep a little bit is to allow each community to take care of their own constituents, and that's why there was two measures that came about. But there's a lot of, with the financing, it even came up in the meeting today that some of the hoops that transit has to jump through, their timeline for financing ended and began in different months, not in line with what the commissions do. So some of the decisions, when Kim appropriately mentioned driver contracts and things, they moved their date to the November 1st timeline to coincide with the city's financing. And then our meeting with the mayors, and I appreciate Mayor Freilich for joining us in that meeting, as far as making sure that we're all dealing with the same variables. So that now Deidre's in a position that today's board meeting occurred and the board agreed. She's going to draw up the numbers so that everybody's looking within the same context. Unfortunately, we are answering to so many people. So it's getting ducks in a row. I think if it was postponed a little bit into next year, that's not an inappropriate thing, just to make sure that we're not stepping on anybody's toes, so to speak. Mandan has some significantly different dynamics with the providers that you have and different people. I know knocking on doors down south, I heard a comment that it wasn't a necessary service, and I knocked on the 9 square blocks down around the Lakewood area. There was a lot of people that said they could use the service, and that was counter to the conversation. So anything that we can plan to make it more of a systematic machine to where we're working together is a benefit. But we got to be careful with the money. We don't want to blow through the funding source. We want to make it.
Okay.
Well, I think there's a little bit of the tail wagging the dog here, that what you're going to want to see for the study and some of the areas that you can identify that are going to be better fitting with what transit looks like will be better identified over the next 3 months. And I think right now it's just kind of you're punching in the dark without having a better grasp of what it's going to look like. So the ability to have that study coincide with actual work and a direction that it's going, I think would be greatly beneficial for all entities involved.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, Kim, you said this study was originally to take place in 27?
If we would observe our historical timeline for updates, we usually update every 3 to 5 years. The last study was completed. It was a 22-23 study, so yeah, that would put us at about a 27 start date. However, we had discussions early in 2025 to develop our work program and to determine what studies we wanted to include in that program and in our budget. And this was a top priority, was to include the Transit Development Plan update in 26.
So we've moved it up. We've moved it up, correct? It's on the top of the list.
It is, yes. It was moved up as a priority.
And this just isn't a Bismarck Transit study in the sense of that name. This is a Bismarck-Mandan overall transit study.
Yes, it is, but because Bismarck Transit is our public transportation agency for our fixed route and paratransit, it becomes basically a Bismarck Transit study. They do match the 20% fully. There is no other matching contributions that are paid by either of the cities or counties.
Okay. Any,
Add to something, Kim, if you remember yesterday's meeting, because I just watched it, Gabe made a clarification because with the initiated measure, it is because of the checks and balances, Mandan's money and Bismarck's money, and how, based on what Mayor Freilich said, how's that wording adjoined so everybody's on the same understanding?
Right. Well, I believe that that is something that would be pursued through the Transit Development Plan update. You can read through the RFP, and we really are not referring to any sales tax initiative funding. We want to look at the overall operations of transit. We want to see where they've come from the last TDP. Have they gained some footing in becoming solvent and continuing operations without going backwards into the red? Now, obviously, the sales tax initiative and the funding resulting from that is going to come into those conversations and discussions. It will be evaluated, but City of Bismarck and City of Mandan each have their own programs as far as the disbursement of those funds. And again, there are no guarantees that those funds are going to land in the coffers of Bismarck Transit. It's kind of an open program according to application.
I understand all that, but
Yeah.
I think, from when this was originally scheduled to be a 2026 program to study, things changed dramatically within the communities with regard to the ability to have funding to make Bismarck Transit solvent and to provide other transportation opportunities. So that's my struggle. Like, we haven't even seen the impact of what that is, and we're going to go start studying. And I'm not saying the study is bad or that it shouldn't happen. I think we've got the cart before the horse, or which came first, the chicken or the egg type of scenario here a little bit. And so,
Well, and part of it is you want a study that you can learn off of rather than the study following the changes. You want to be able to make good choices off of that, so it's kind of,
So
pardon the
that's-
pun, but who's driving the bus on this?
that's where my struggle is. I feel like, I'm not saying the study isn't important. I think it
Just
will be. I just
timing,
and I would like to see what kind of changes are going to be able to come forward from Bismarck Transit moving forward, because they have received direction, and I believe their board is responding to that, and that's going to be stuff that will come before, for sure, the City of Bismarck Commission within probably the next 2 months. As to, okay, we've got X dollars, we can start to, and we've already, by the way, provided a significant funding stream to them since June 1 or July 1 to basically make them operate in I'll call it a solvent fashion for 2025 and 2026.
And I think some of those metrics to measure their solvency and where they're at right now, I think some of that is simply internal without spending $180,000 on.
Yep. So that's where I'm at. And Commissioner Bakken, you've made the motion to delay it, not end it,
No.
not cancel it, to
No,
delay
but
it. And
3 months to review it and let things start going where the political subdivisions are directing it. So
we have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? Okay, I'm going to call roll.
Mayor Berglund,
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
yes,
and Chair Schmidt.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for the lively discussion. Maybe it went sideways a little bit, but I think it's just important we get a little footing first. Item 7B, which is an addition to the agenda. Consider a request from the Bismarck-Mandan MPO for approval of the addendum to the master agreement with ATAC for signalized intersections. Go ahead, Kim.
Thank you very much, Chair Schmitz. The MPO contracts with ATAC, or Advanced Traffic Analysis Center, through NDSU and Fargo, through a master agreement in cooperation with North Dakota DOT and the other 3 MPOs in the state to have ATAC perform updates and maintenance to their travel demand models. We're currently in the middle of a 3-year contract with this master agreement with ATAC. And occasionally, it does become necessary for ATAC to perform additional modeling or traffic collection for us, and that is achieved through addendums to the master contract or the master agreement. The addendum that was sent out Friday, which you have before you, and I can share on screen if you can bear with me for one moment. There we go. So this addendum that was sent out last Friday has been updated, and the one that you have in front of you has been updated with a full breakdown of the project cost. But this addendum is for routine traffic and pedestrian data collection in the city of Bismarck, which will complement the collection that was performed in this area by North Dakota DOT in 2025. Having this collection will allow the Bismarck-Mandan MPO to set its base year at 2025 for the next travel demand model update, which is one of the first steps to the next update to our MTP, our Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Now, your handout shows the total project costs of $34,881. This will be paid 80% by federal funding, and then the 20% match of $69.76 will be paid by the City of Bismarck. This addendum was achieved in collaboration with City of Bismarck Engineering and with personnel from Advanced Traffic Analysis Center. We presented this to the TAC yesterday, and they did recommend approval of the addendum to the master agreement. Is there any questions that you might have for me that I could stand for?
Any questions? Members, what are your wishes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Mayor Berglund,
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer,
Yes.
Mayor Freilich,
Yes.
Commissioner Bakken,
Yes.
and Chair Schmitz.
Yes. Item 8 is a 2025 safety policy study update. Scott, are you online?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Yeah, just a quick update for you on the safety policy study. We are working towards the draft report currently. We had our last meeting with the steering committee at the end of last month, the 25th of September. And we are currently ironing out our toolkit of safety countermeasures. There's basically 2 sets of those. There's one for rural applications outside of the cities, and there's one for urban applications within. We've gotten great feedback on those toolkits, and we're waiting. Looks like we just got feedback from Burleigh County, so that's great. We're just waiting for some feedback from the city of Mandan at this point. So we're almost there. And then there'll be estimated costs along with those countermeasures, and we're refining those at this time as well. Make sure that they're realistic. We've developed a high injury network of where more severe crashes tend to occur and have a higher tendency to occur across the metro area. And we're doing a little bit of a deeper dive on that in terms of those corridors, in terms of the crashes by different modes of transportation, crash counts, and the manner of those crashes. In terms of moving forward, the draft report will be ready the first week of November for the steering committee to review, and then there'll be action by the TAC and the policy board in December. So lots coming down the pipe here pretty soon. Any questions?
Are there any questions? Doesn't appear any. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Item 9, the 2025 ITS RA update or progress report. Kim?
Thank you, Chair Schmitz. This will be a very brief update on the Intelligent Transportation Systems Regional Architecture Update. Exhibit E on page 123 of your packet shows the progress report for this project. Stakeholders' meetings have concluded, and a form is going to be distributed to them for feedback, which will assist us in identifying any gaps in the information that we've received and are assembling. This will help in the development of the final report. A draft report is anticipated to be provided to this board in November, and the project is on track to conclude by year end. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Item 10, the Fringe Area Road Map Master Plan. Stephen.
Thank you, Chair. Just a very brief update for you. Contract negotiations with Bolton and Mank, the selected consultant for this study, have concluded, and we completed the usual review process for the contract. We are now just waiting for NDDOT to finalize their review of our processes. Once they give us approval, we will kick off the project, and we have a pretty full schedule planned through the end of the year and into next year, of course, for the project. So hopefully a more substantial update next month as we begin. Any questions?
Doesn't look like it. Thank you. Item 11, 2025 Monitoring Program Update. Stephen, you're still on the game.
Yes. So HDR has provided me with, the consultant for this project has provided me with a second draft of the monitoring report document. It has completed internal review, and they are making corrections that were noted by MPO staff. So once the review is complete and the changes are made, we are targeting November to bring the final report to the boards for potential acceptance of the report. And HDR will also be hosting a training for MPO staff before the end of the year to help us manage future updates of this document in-house. So are there any other questions or any questions for me at this time?
Any questions? No. Thank you. You get to continue.
Okay. Tip modifications. This month we processed 3 administrative changes to the 25 through 28 tip. We received word from DOT that 3 more of the projects that were moved to fiscal year 25, because of the August redistribution, they're going back to their original fiscal year, which in this case is 2026. All 3 projects are for microsurfacing and pavement markings in Bismarck, and the details are in the packet. Are there any questions?
Any questions? I think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 13, the 2026-2027 UPWP modifications.
Thank you, Chair Schmitz. The Policy Board approved the draft 2026-2027 UPWP in July, which included the funding source tables shown in Exhibit H on page 129 of the packet. When the final UPWP was brought back for adoption in August, North Dakota DOT requested that the MPO combine the NDPL funds and the NDFTA funds into one funding source. We did so and submitted for approval, which the Policy Board did approve on August 19th. Upon submittal then to federal oversight for their final approval, the MPO has been instructed to change the tables back to their original format, which you approved in July. So the funding sources have again been separated out to their original form. This has been completed and resubmitted, and it is being provided to the Policy Board as an informational item only. There is no action required on your part. So the tables that you see in your packet are the final funding source tables that are part of the final approved UPWP for 26-27.
Is there any question? Yep. Thank you. Is there any other business? Appearing to be none, we stand adjourned.